on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an excellent day today. Bitcoin did, in fact, get the weekly close that we were looking for at the final hour. Bitcoin surged, and you could see that we had a candle close right here around $65,502. Now, yes, we have started out with a bit of the red candle for the week, but this is still very good for Bitcoin. So in today's video, we have a few things that we need to go over. Number one, of course, we're going to analyze the short-term Bitcoin price action. Are we still anticipating this massive move to the upside with that $75,000 target that we talked about? Because so many people are discussing a $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year, which is not impossible, but if you actually do the math, Bitcoin would have to go up somewhere around $800 every single day until the end of the year to get to that $100,000 level. So is that possible for Bitcoin? Well, there is something amazing that is happening right now in Bitcoin that we need to talk about. I want to analyze more of these different types of models. In yesterday's video, we talked about different price predictions and possibilities for Bitcoin. In today's video, I want to solidify that thesis so we can truly understand, is this cycle coming to an end, or is it actually the super cycle that so many people have talked about? I also want to talk about something very different that is happening for Bitcoin right now as well. So if you want to know all that, make sure you stick around to the end of this video. I will try to make it as quick as possible. And of course, if you are not subscribed, well, what are you waiting for? We do these updates every single day. Make sure you turn on that bell notification to get these updates in a timely manner. Now, you can see that I have pointed out that Bitcoin is forming a giant rising wedge. In fact, you can see right here, we did get rejected at the heart line. Now, rising wedges are, well, technically they are bearish, right? We've gone over this, but I've explained to you that when you're in a bull market, a bearish pattern is actually more of a neutral pattern, right? So right now we really need to see what Bitcoin is going to be doing, right? And you can see that if we were to fall down, we're looking for support around the $63,423 level. Now, getting above this heart line, which is this center line right here, the next stop would actually put Bitcoin upwards of $70,000. So if we do have that break here, I would anticipate that Bitcoin is going to hit $70,000. We already went over the bearish scenario in yesterday's video if we do break to the downside, but in today's video, I want to focus on what's going on. You can see we've had so much support here on the 21 exponential, this green line right here. In fact, if you've been trading this, basically what you could do is every time Bitcoin falls down to the 21 EMA or over here to my $63,100 support, which has held support now for pretty much the entire week, you can essentially just put in a long and then sell on the pump, and then put in a long again and sell on the pump, and put in another long and sell on the pump, right? And if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, make sure that you watch my tutorial on how to trade leverage before you just start, throwing everything into it, because it can definitely be a very risky style of trading. Make sure you watch this video that is popping up above. But having a look right here, we are still above the major, we're above this major trend, right? We are looking to have this resistance right here acting as support. We also have this horizontal level right here, very, very critical level around $53,000. But the thing that we were most worried about was whether or not we were putting in another Wyckoff where we have three higher highs, a lower high, and then a dump, right? Well, so far we have 1, 2. So if we do go up to that $75,000 level, will that be it for the Bitcoin price? Well, having a look at what the S&P is doing, once again, it looks like Bitcoin and the S&P are sort of following each other, right? We had this big green candle close for the S&P, and then we open it, and now we're sitting at a bit of a red candle. So having a look right here, and by the way, shout out to Crypto Burb for this analysis. He's talking about the 50-week moving average working as the bottom of this triangle. We have spoke about this on the channel as well. And he says that he still has a Bitcoin target set to $100,000. And he says within the next few weeks, and quote, he says, "Yes, I am serious. What we're about to witness will change many lives forever." And you can see right here, he has these different levels point out, and he is also looking at around, well, he's looking at above 84,000, at some point. Now, if we go back and have a look at what I was talking about, with this original flag right here. So we know that we formed the asymmetrical triangle right here, and we also knew that we had a measured move. Now, my measured move was upwards of around $75,000, $76,000. The way that you figure that is by simply taking the size of this right here, the pole, whatever you want to call it, the pole, that is what it is, and you do the breakout from this point, and that put us up to about $75,000 to $76,000. So that is my target for Bitcoin. And I've said, not to say that we're not going to have a pullback or something, we don't have to go straight up in a straight line, but I do anticipate that we will be seeing that. Now, something incredible for Bitcoin that could happen on this move, if we get up to that $75,000 level, and let's say the silver market cap stays about where it is, well, we only need Bitcoin to hit $75,300 by today's circulating supply in order to beat silver. So that would put Bitcoin at a 1.421, which would technically be higher than silver market cap. So that is a very attainable thing. That is something amazing, something incredible. We've seen Bitcoin overtake, Facebook and Tesla and Berkshire Hathaway, but now we're going to finally see Bitcoin doing what it should be doing, acting as a hedge, acting as a reserve currency, acting as gold 2.0, right? So it's not as high as gold yet, but silver being a precious metal, that would be such an accomplishment. You have no idea how much validity that would create for Bitcoin around the world. All these skeptics now, what can you possibly say? Bitcoin is now higher than the second highest precious metal in the world, and that can happen at $75,300, and I think that is going to happen by the end of this year. For me, $75,000 by the end of this year, absolutely attainable. 100,000. Well, as I told you guys yesterday, we were seeing that long-term holders were starting to sell. And no, this wasn't clickbait. This wasn't anything trying to trick you guys to watch a video. Literally, they are starting to sell. However, what I tried to point out was it's not bearish, okay? They're taking profits. It's what these guys do. But actually, if we have a look at the price in the background, price continued upwards for months after they started selling. In fact, you could argue that it was a signal that the rally was just beginning, right? And I did say we're about to enter that mania phase into the bull run. Now, Willy Woo is an on-chain analyst, and stick around, we're gonna get to more charts, but I just wanna start with this story because he was on Coin Stories doing an interview, and he was saying that he wasn't really confident that we're ready for that major rally just yet. He says if we look at where we sit in terms of what he calls supply shock, he would say the ratio of coins held by these really strong holders versus more speculative hands, we're not at the ratios that we saw in the first and second quarter before May. We're actually climbing up there, not at the same levels we were, but we're getting there. He says, so structurally, you could say we're not technically as bullish on chain. We've also had a lot of, changes with the ETFs being approved, and they're not actually buying Bitcoin, they're buying futures contracts that are cash settled. And this is why I said that it was really, really what we want to get that Bitcoin spot ETF, which I do actually have a little bit of news on that at the end of the video. Something good did come of that, so it wasn't all a waste. Stick around at the end of the video and I'll let you know why it's such a big deal. But having a look at Glassnode, I love Glassnode. They do amazing charts. Not trying to shill them. They just do a very good job at analyzing prices. And they talk about Willy Woo's Wooconomic price model that he has right here. So it's called Top Cap, and Top Cap was originally obviously proposed by him, and it's calculated by applying a factor of 35x to the all-time average cap. If you guys want to do some more research on how he figured this math out, you can go over to Wooconomics. But Top Cap today puts Bitcoin at around 4 trillion valuation, which would bring the price upwards of around $214,000 per coin. Now, that's not to say that's going to happen by the end of this year, but that is the projection that we're looking at. And you can also see BitMe pointed out a very similar chart as well. If you look at the Mayer multiple and you take the 208 weekly moving average, the Bitcoin cycle, the average Bitcoin cycle, and 15x to the top, it also plays perfect as well. So there are a lot of things pointing that we could be going in this direction. However, here's the thing. Despite Bitcoin making these moves and all of this bullishness, Glassnode says that Bitcoin is actually dangerously close to levels seen in previous bear markets. On-chain activity is recovering, but it's recovering very slowly, and they say it's certainly far below the historical examples of hype and euphoria that we had seen in 2017 and 2021, right? But as I stated, you need to look at what is happening. So Ki Young Ju over from CryptoQuant He says Bitcoin whales are moving. It's the largest move I've ever seen since 2017, excluding outliers. The average transaction amount skyrocketed about 5x, and it seems most big transactions didn't come from exchanges. Now, remember, we have seen coins coming off of exchanges. We are seeing a true example of a liquidity shock. And this right here, if you actually look at where a lot of the whales started moving back in July, July 2016 to July 2017. So it was basically an entire year of moving. After that was where we had the massive rally. So the fact that we're starting to see these whales move right now, is this just a coincidence, or does it actually mean something? Well, I would probably stick with the latter camp and say that there is something in fact brewing. Now, of course, we have $98,000 prediction by the end of November by Plan B, $135,000 by the end of December. So that would be even more than $800 a day. But of course, keep in mind, Bitcoin does have these big moves where it'll just go sideways for weeks, and then out of nowhere, we just have like a $5,000, $6,000 candle. Except we're not talking about a $5,000, $6,000 candle. We're talking about going from 64,000, 65,000 all the way up to 100,000+. That is an incredible move for the Bitcoin price. Okay, you're looking at over a 50% move, a 60% move for Bitcoin. Now, sure, in altcoins, this happens every other day, but with Bitcoin, you need a lot of liquidity. You need a lot of money to come into the space. You don't need exactly the amount of the market cap, right? Because that's not how market cap works, but you still need a substantial amount of capital coming into the space to move Bitcoin to those prices. Now, we showed the rainbow chart. You can also look at these levels that Jordan Lindsay pointed out, and I am giving a lot of shout outs to everyone on Twitter today because there is just a lot of really great analysis, and I know you guys appreciate my opinion, but I like to share other people's opinions as well because it helps us to get more of a well-rounded sort of perspective, right? You don't want to be very biased. You don't want to only see things one way. And, essentially, when you look at this level, every time that Bitcoin, basically breaks this center line, we go into a massive euphoria stage. And logarithmically, he says, regardless of how you feel, Bitcoin has respected these trend lines for 9 years. So there could always be a time where things change, but you have to look at the historical data, and you have to understand that this was built into the pricing mechanism, right? The 4-year cycle, the halving cycle. However, before I move on to the next graphic, the thing that we need to point out, actually, no, let's actually go to this next. Let's go to this next one. This is from Tech Dev, and then I'll let you know what I was going to say. So look, he talks about the similarities. He says, once we have a full week above the 1.618 fib, that usually starts a massive rally to the 2.272. And he explains that this target would put Bitcoin anywhere between $180,000 to $220,000. But if you notice, there is a very big difference between this third chart and this chart right here. Obviously, this being this flat top that we had right here during the Wyckoff distribution. But the second thing is the amount of time between these moves. If we go back here, you could see that these moves happened relatively quickly, right? It happened only within a matter of weeks, whereas with Bitcoin, we've actually had this distribution, accumulation, consolidation, pump, whatever you want to call it. This has been going on for months. So this could be the key that things are changing. And this is why I said in the beginning of the video that Bitcoin is very different than it used to be. We're not following these same, peak and trough type cycles like we used to. And also, one thing I just want to stress, and I don't mean to be rude to, Satoshi. I clearly respect Satoshi. You made the greatest money on planet Earth. But, as far as the halving is concerned, let's be real, guys. It doesn't have as much weight as it used to. When Bitcoin miners used to mine 50 Bitcoin a day, and that supply got cut from 50 to 25 Bitcoin a day, that was a huge difference in the amount of Bitcoin available. We know that there's only 21 million Bitcoin. If you go on CoinMarketCap right now and have a look, or CoinGecko, you'll see that there's over 18 million, 800 or something, over 18 million Bitcoin currently in circulation. So there's not a lot of Bitcoin left. And going from, 6.125 down to 3, whatever, is not as big of a difference as going from 50 to 25 to 12 and a half, right? So the halving is going to have less and less impact. The 4-year cycle is going to have less and less impact, which is why, as I've been saying on this channel, we could literally be seeing Bitcoin do something it's never done before in history, which is finally have a lengthened cycle. Or maybe we still do have bear markets, but maybe they're not the 84% bear markets like we used to have. Maybe we only have these 60% dips or 55% dips like we had. I mean, could that have technically been classified as a bear market? I mean, Sure, right? We were sitting below the 200 daily. But that is what I wanted to point out, is that we could be looking at lengthening cycles. And also, we just finally had Bitcoin have Taproot activation. Now, I held off talking about this yesterday. Everyone was talking about it. I didn't want to bore you guys. But now to put it into perspective, what you are seeing is essentially that Bitcoin can grow, Bitcoin can mature, there can be things added to Bitcoin, and it can be added in a way that's not crazy, it's not a hard fork, we're not having the Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin war, right? So Taproot, they actually say why it matters. This is a Forbes article. They say Bitcoin, increasingly known as a store of value more similar to gold than a means of payment, has been written off by some technologists as outdated and obsolete. Newer blockchains such as Ethereum are quicker, cheaper, and able to support a variety of transactions. Bitcoin proponents see the Taproot upgrade as proof Bitcoin can improve while at the same time remaining true to its underlying principles of decentralization and immutability. Now, look, if you think tomorrow we're going to be having NFTs and DeFi on Bitcoin, well, good luck with that pie in the sky. I don't see, I mean, I'm not saying it could never happen. I just don't see it happening anytime soon. So there's going to be a place for Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Elrond, Avalanche, all these different platforms, right? We're definitely going to have a need for them. But Bitcoin has still proven it can be a store of value. And now we are seeing these upgrades, which are allowing it to have privacy features, more complex transactions, and, hopefully more in-depth smart contracts eventually over time to get built on top of Bitcoin as well. But at the end of the day, guys, do you really want Bitcoin to be a smart contracts platform? I mean, I really just like Bitcoin for being the store of value. Sure, if you want to do different type of multi-sig wallets and privacy transactions and have very, very simple smart contracts on Bitcoin, I'm okay with that. But I really don't know that we need to turn Bitcoin into Ethereum. We have Ethereum. So there you go. We don't need Bitcoin to be Ethereum. Bitcoin can just be Bitcoin. It does a very good job at doing that, right? That's why I hold both Bitcoin and Ethereum, because I do see a value in both of them long-term in the future. And, getting back to the ETF news that I promised you guys I'd talk about at the end of the video. So yes, we did in fact have the rejection of the spot, but what ended up happening was actually, according to an official notice by the Chicago Board Options Exchange, VanEck Bitcoin Strategy ETF will start trading on the CBOE, but of course this is a futures trading option, so it's not actually, there's no physical Bitcoin to back it, is what I'm trying to say, which in my opinion, spot trading is really, that's the big ETF that we're really all waiting for. So they say the listing of the XBTF comes just a couple days after the SEC officially rejected the application. They argued that the proposed rule change to list the ETF did not meet standards to prevent fraudulent and manipulative acts and practices or protect investors and public interest. But some companies, such as Bitwise Asset Manager, does remain bullish on a potential pure Bitcoin ETF, with the firm even deciding to drop its futures ETF filing last week. The chief investment officer, Matt Hogan, said, "Ultimately, what many investors want is a spot Bitcoin ETF. We think that's possible. So Bitwise will continue to pursue that goal, and we will look for other ways to help investors get access to the incredible opportunities in crypto." So I do believe that the ETF, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't we have as big of a surge? Well, I think it's because really it was futures, right? If we get that spot, if we get it with the underlying asset, because like Willy Woo said, these guys, they have exposure, but they don't have exposure to Bitcoin. They only have exposure to Bitcoin's price. Right? It's all cash dollars. That's all. It's just dollars moving around. They're just looking at the price, but they don't actually have any real Bitcoin. So this would be the big changer that I think, this would be the game changer. This is when you're going to see, the absolute mass hysteria happen. And finally, guys, I just wanted to let you know that Ethereum seems like it's been struggling. I told you eventually it was going to break this trajectory. Right now, we have had a pretty strong rejection on the daily, and we did have a daily candle close below it. This is the first time that this has really ever happened since we started putting in this line. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I do have targets down here at around 4,220, and then we do have this legacy trend here at around $4,000 even. So would I be shorting Ethereum? No, I'm not shorting. I'm sorry. Like maybe I'll miss a great move, but I'm not going to short in a bull run. I'll wait for confirmation like we did when we fell before, okay, when we had that pull down. And then I told you guys, when we were doing the accumulation stage, that was a perfect opportunity to short resistance, short resistance, short resistance, short resistance, right? But you don't want to do that right now. Right now we have more support, then we do resistance. It's bullish. So if you were looking to put in a long or a short, the first level is around 4,200 and the second level is around $4,000 even. Obviously use your stop losses, and friendly reminder, again, if you guys are looking to trade, make sure that you guys watch these videos popping up right here, right now before you start. And that is it for me, guys. So thank you so much. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. My name is K-Dub. This is CryptoZombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.